open up our plenary session 3, establishing necessary adaptive monitoring, evaluation, and learning systems for recovery. The session will examine how countries can develop robust systems for monitoring recovery progress, evaluating the effectiveness of recovery interventions, and capturing lessons learned to improve future recovery efforts. Our panelists will share experiences with innovative approaches to recovery monitoring and evaluation that can enhance accountability, inform decision-making, and strengthen institutional learning. I'd like to welcome our panelists to the stage. I'm very grateful that Mr. Soichiro Yasukawa, the Chief of Disaster Risk Reduction Unit at UNESCO, will be moderating this session. I'd like to welcome Her Excellency Lilian Eber, the Minister of State for Relief, Disaster Preparedness, and Refugees in the Office of the Prime Minister for Uganda. His Excellency, Mr. Shamir Kanov Urmatbek, the Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Emergency Situations for the Kyrgyz Republic. Ms. Bazaragcha Dudgai, Head of Disaster Risk Management Division, National Emergency Management Agency for Mongolia, and Mr. Hisan Hassan, the Chief Executive for the National Disaster Management Authority for the Maldives. Wonderful, thank you. Mr. Yasukawa, please go ahead when you're ready.
Welcome back, Excellencies and colleagues. Building on the 2 preceding sessions on landscape and also the governance on recovery readiness, we want to look at the readiness from different perspectives, which is establishing necessary adaptive monitoring, evaluation, learning system for recovery. Actually, this is one of the action plans which were adopted by the World Resilient Recovery Conference in June. And this is one of the 10th action plan. Maybe I can elaborate a little bit what it is about, these action plans. I can just share with you some keywords. First one is to develop nationally owned data. And second one is to develop performance indicators for progress monitoring. Third one is independent evaluations for the recovery process to learn lessons. And then fourth one is internal evaluation by the recovery agencies. And the last one, the international knowledge exchange. So these are the 5 sub-actions in this 10th action plan. And in order to deepen the discussions from this perspective, we have a prominent panelist here with us, Her Excellency Lilian Abel, the Minister of State of Relief, Disaster Preparedness, and Refugees, Office of the Prime Minister's Office in Uganda. And left to me is Mr. Shamrikanov Urmatbek, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Emergency Situations, Kyrgyz Republic. And we have Ms. Bazaragcha Dudgai, Head of Disaster Risk Management Division, National Emergency Management Agency, Mongolia. And lastly, Mr. Hisan Hassan, Chief Executive, National Disaster Management Authority from Maldives. So in order to facilitate the discussions, we came up with 4 guiding questions. First one is how to institutionalize lessons into policy or planning. Second one is how to accelerate international knowledge exchange, South-South or Triangle cooperation. Third one is accountability, how to increase accountability by evaluation, etc. And last one is the importance of data. So these are the 4 big guiding questions for the panelists. And I would like to invite panelists one by one with the guiding questions. So I would like to start from Her Excellency Lilian Abel, Minister. Uganda has been working to strengthen its disaster preparedness. How are you ensuring that the lessons from past recovery efforts are systematically captured and integrated into national planning and financing? So over to you.
Thank you very much, our moderator. And I like the fact that I am the only lady here, and that signifies how important it is to consider women and children while planning for recovery from disasters. I come from a country, Uganda, in East Africa. The main disasters that affect us is number 1, landslides, 2, flooding, 3, wild winds and fire, among others. But those are the main disasters that we are faced with. Now, within our legal framework, our constitution is very clear on the mandate of government. Article 249 of our constitution is very clear, and also objective 23 within the law. We have put in place quite a number of policies, and with focus on recovery, sustainable recovery. And within our disaster risk reduction plan, we intend to streamline disaster response and decentralize to the districts. And of course, the mode of our disaster response is multi-sectoral. We plan together with the different ministries. The line ministries that are very pertinent in our response and recovery process is the Ministry of Works and Transport, that deals with the effect of bridges that have broken down as a result of either landslides or flooding, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development that handles mainly the social support, ensuring that our victims who are affected from disasters are planned for and they take them through a mindset recovery to support them to carry on with those effects. So government budgets for disaster recovery and support, but also we have an allocation of 10% from the contingency fund. So when a disaster occurs, we submit to cabinet, government, to approve a certain amount of resources which is required to support those who are affected. And also at that point, that is when we clearly stipulate the short term, the mid-term, and the long term. And you know that recovery is mainly long term. So we bring together on board the different ministries to budget for a certain line which is affected. And also we work together with the Red Cross of Uganda and also the Uganda People's Defense Forces, that is the UPDF, which is an arm of the military and the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the police, and other UN agencies like the UNHCR and other non-governmental organizations to plan and institute a mechanism on how we are able to support the victims that are affected. Of course, also the UNDP plan, the National Development Plan 4 of the 5 years, clearly focuses and speaks to how the recovery should be done. For example, we are faced with landslide in one of the regions called the Elgon sub-region, where the soil is a bit, the geographical area, normally during rainy season, we are faced with disasters of a landslide, destroying property and killing people. So what we have done as government is to come up with a framework on resettlement plan. So in this, we are handling two things. We are trying to mitigate the effect of those who are going to be affected by relocating them. So we mapped out an area, the whole area, that is prone to experience disasters with the help of early warning systems and also the Meteorological Department of Uganda. And government allocated funds to ensure that these people who are within that area are resettled elsewhere. So government procures land for each and every household and also gives them money to help in the construction of shelter to support them. And we also go ahead to plan for a longer period of recovery in terms of livelihood support, in terms of agriculture, in terms of training, in terms of providing all the basic, needs that is required for a community to thrive. So basically, that is how we do our intervention. I see time is ticking. I will just end at that. But also, just on 11th of September, we launched a 5-year key documents in climate commitment. And that focuses also on issues of recovery, looking at mitigation and recovery. I think we all agree in this house that recovery is a more expensive and, the end tail of disaster response. But what is very important, and the focus must be, if more work is done on early warning predictions and mitigations, then we don't have much to do at the tail end. So in conclusion, we have put in place quite a number of laws and policies that support our recovery process. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Excellencies. I think it's a very interesting, system setting, not only the institutional, internal mechanism, but also the external collaboration with other UN agencies, and also you have this system to unlock the funding for this contingency planning. So you have everything in your countries. So I would like to ask Mr. Shamlikov Urmatbek, Kyrgyzstan. Deputy Minister, in a mountainous country like Kyrgyzstan, disasters are frequent and diverse. How is your ministry working to ensure that monitoring and evaluation systems are embedded into recovery governance before the next disaster strikes? Before you speak, the Excellency is going to speak in Russian, so please make sure that you have a device so that you have English translations with you.
Уважаемые коллеги, дамы и господа, от имени правительства Кыргызской Республики и Министерства чрезвычайной ситуации Кыргызской Республики позвольте выразить искреннюю благодарность организаторам за приглашение и за возможность принять участие в столь важном международном форуме. Для нас большая честь выступить на площадке, где обсуждаются ключевые вопросы устойчивого восстановления и практические шаги по реализации Сендайской рамочной программы. Главные вызовы современности, которые мы живем в эпоху, когда частота и интенсивность стихийных бедствий возрастают, изменение климата, деградация окружающей среды и рост уязвимости населения усиливает масштаб гуманитарных и экономических потерь. Последствия землетрясений, наводнений, лесных пожаров и засух становятся все более разрушительными и требуют от государства системного подхода к управлению восстановлением. В этой связи адаптивные системы мониторинга, оценки и обучения приобретают особую роль. Без них невозможно обеспечить информационную поддержку, принятие управленческих и организационных решений так, чтобы восстановительное мероприятие не только возвращало ситуацию к исходному состоянию, но и формировало более устойчивые механизмы защиты населения и инфраструктуры. Опыт, приоритеты Кыргызстана, которые у нас имеются. Кыргызская республика сталкивается, в общем, для многих стран проблемы риска бедствий, в том числе связанными с глобальными изменениями климата, оказывающие негативное воздействие на важные ресурсы и отрасли экономики, что напрямую отражается на безопасности населения. Уважаемые коллеги, небольшую угрозу представляют оползни, снежные лавины, селевые потоки, паводки, подтопления, подъем уровня грунтовых вод, высокогорные правоопасные озера, сильные дожди, ураганы, ветры, снегопады. А также особую хотел бы подчеркнуть, в последние 5 лет в связи с изменением климата у нас в Кыргызстане происходят локальные дожди, которые приводят к очень большим катастрофическим чрезвычайным ситуациям природного характера. При этом почти вся территория Кыргызстана находится в зоне очень высокой сейсмической угрозы. То есть ежегодно у нас в Кыргызстане происходит более 10 тысяч мелких землетрясений. Исходя из этого, наша страна проводит последовательскую работу по снижению рисков бедствий, смещая акцент от ликвидации чрезвычайной ситуации в сторону предупреждения. Последние десятилетия особенно заметна тенденция роста климатически обусловленных бедствий. В 1990 по 2022 годы их количество возросло более чем на 1,5 раза. За 30 лет произошло 5770 чрезвычайных ситуаций природного и техногенного характера. Из них только за последние 10 лет 2097. В 2024 году стал крайне тяжелым для нашей страны. Зафиксировано 3978 чрезвычайных ситуаций различного характера, в результате которых погибли 393 человека, а экономический ущерб составил 23,6 миллиардов долларов США. По сравнению с 2023 годом этот рост числа бедствий на 291% больше, уровня смертности на 79%, и материальные затраты превысили на 354% в целом. Селевые потоки затопили тысячи домовладений, разрушили социальные объекты, дороги, мосты. И эти трагические события наглядно подчеркнуло важность работы по снижению рисков бедствий и усилению готовности к ним. Вместе с тем, в период полугодия в 2025 году наблюдалось резкое снижение количества чрезвычайных ситуаций по сравнению с предыдущим годом, что мы связываем с усилением превентивных мер и более эффективным управлением рисками стихийных бедствий. Министерство чрезвычайной ситуации Кыргызской Республики реализует ряд шагов в этом направлении. Внедряются цифровые инструменты для мониторинга сейсмических рисков и прогнозирования паводков. Создаются национальные базы данных по чрезвычайным ситуациям и ущербов. Разрабатываются методики оценки восстановления с участием местных органов власти и общин. Проводится работа по повышению потенциала спасательных подразделений и специалистов, ответственных за планирование и восстановление. Мы убеждены, что данные собранные в процессе ликвидации последствий, должны становиться основой для подготовки будущих решений. У нас имеется очень большой опыт по восстановительным работам, по предупредительным работам, именно по предупреждению и ликвидации последствий стихийных бедствий.
Excellency, thank you very much. As I understand, I think Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyz already embed monitoring and evaluation into the recovery system, but others, for example, try to analyze what kind of measures worked and others didn't, etc., etc. But I think Excellency also mentioned about the issues of the financing and data gap. Then I would like to go to the third panelist, Ms. Bazaragcha Dugay, Mongolia. And she has a slide. No? Yeah, okay, and then the question for you. So Mongolia faces recurring climate-related disasters like disease. How is your agency using recovery data to inform preparedness and future response?
Okay, thank you very much. Climate change is a very crucial issue in many countries, and we face the very fast effects caused by the climate change. So Mongolia, we have faced the Dzot. Dzot is a very difficult winter. How to overcome the winter, especially for the herder families, and also see another kinds of this climate-related disaster is drought. Drought is directly related to the drought, and then especially in the winter and also in the spring, and we face very strong windstorms, snowstorms, and dust storms. Now, and I would like to say about how we affect the climate change. And I'll tell you the one number to you. Since 1940, the annual temperature in Mongolia has risen by 2.5 Celsius degree. You know, this is a very huge changes. In these cases, and we need to adapt very quickly. How to adapt it? Who can adapt it? What time and how the time we need it? How can we integrate disaster risk reduction policy into the climate change adaptation policy? In these cases, and we are just thinking about that, and also the data and disaster damage and loss data is very important, and to show the importance of the adaptation to the people. Just, you know, in these cases, and the Mongolia, we usually have the traditional livestock husbandry, the agriculture. So agriculture is the second economic pillar after mining in Mongolia. In these cases, and we need to keep our traditional husbandry and livestock in it. And the herder families are very effectively affected in winter by the climate change. Also, it means, and we consider the Dzot can be faced in Mongolia for different seasons, you know. In summertime, it's very hot, especially in July. But in January or February, it's very cold. The winter average temperature is minus 20 or 25. In the picture, you can see that. It snows a lot. In this case, how to overcome? And with many years, and we overcome, we have the traditional lifestyle. But this changing period, we need to adapt. We need to change our traditional lifestyle, how to overcome the winter. In these cases, and I would like to say of that, and we need to increase the community awareness of how to adapt this changing climate period. which means and how to change their traditional lifestyle in this changing time, and also how to collaborate together, especially in herder families. In Mongolia, this is only one drilling. This is a Mongolian traditional gear. It's very warm. It's very accessible to move some places, and we usually, instead of one family or two families, now when we are changing how to collaborate together, 5 or 6 families work together and spend the winter together, prepare for a winter together. It means and we need to change all that. In this case, and we use the loss and damage data, also the recovery data after the drought occurrences. And at the first, we use these kinds of data to conduct risk assessments. It means it's in pre-disaster assessment. And in summertime, we conduct the drought assessment. And drought assessment is based on the drought assessments of that. Then we use these kinds of assessment results and to have some proactive disaster risk activities. For example, in how to anticipatory action, early actions to prevent the much loss. And also we use these kinds of data to predict the possible damage and loss for timely and effective response in wintertime, especially. And also in springtime is very difficult. In wintertime, in animal husbandry or some herder families, they can just lose their energy. But in springtime, it winds a lot. It means it makes the situation get worse of that. Then we need to do the data and to predict possible loss and damage in winter and also in springtime. And also we just use this data and also the assessments, and to increase proactive investment and financing in readiness for resilience recovery. And also we address most of the vulnerability, human vulnerability, especially in it. Then we need these kinds of data in our agency and to assist humanitarian assistant, the domestic humanitarian assistant. Also, when the situation is reached to the disaster level, this last one occurred in winter of 2023 to 2024. It's we call the international appel. In this case, we use these kinds of data. How many people are affected? How many livestock were perished? Yeah. In this cases, and we use these kinds of data. And also, we use these kinds of data and to predict how many people may lose their livelihood in the countryside, and how many people may move to urban places or make displacements of that. In these cases, and also we need to focus on how to help the new arrivals in cities, and how to reduce, not to increase the urban poverty caused by the winter difficulties in it. In these cases, and it's very difficult. This is a picture of Ulaanbaatar. Now the people are moving, some herders, rural people moving to the Ulaanbaatar, and they just build their houses very prone, or flood-prone areas, maybe some not accessible areas. It makes sense to increase the urban poverty, you know. We need use these kinds of data to evidence-based data collection system, and we're just working on it. How to disseminate the risk assessments or based on these kinds of data in it. In these cases, and we just include how to maintain this disaster risk reduction activities into the development, also into the recovery areas of that. Now we are implementing the Sendai framework and national DRS strategy 2030, like some other countries. We include the recovery chapter in our strategy. In this case, we are just working on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, I think it's about data. I think Mongolia has two different issues. One is climate change. I think the impact of the climate is getting severe and severe. And also, I think the very particular cases in Mongolia is the urbanizations, because many people from the rural area is coming to the cities. So we don't have enough data to prepare for the good recovery planning. But I think thanks to this data collection, I think your country is better prepared for recovery, better recovery. Thank you very much for your cases. Then I would like to go to the last panelist, Mr. Hissam Hassan from Maldives. So how is Maldives integrating monitoring and evaluation system into national recovery plannings, given the unique vulnerabilities of small island states? Over to you.
Thank you, moderator. Delegates, distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. It is an honor to join this panel. For the Maldives, disasters are not abstract risks. They are lived in reality. Spread across 1,192 islands, our nation faces unique challenges in disaster management due to geographic dispersion, fragile ecosystems, and limited connectivity. Even small disruptions, whether from coastal flooding, storms, or supply chain interruptions, can ripple across the entire country. This is why monitoring, evaluation, and learning systems are critical for us. They allow us to track not only how fast we recover, but whether we are building back stronger and reducing risk over time. With the recent endorsement of the Maldives Disaster Risk Reduction Strategy 2024 to 2030, we now have a clear national framework for resilience. The strategy focuses on protecting the natural and built environment, safeguarding homes, infrastructure, and public investments, strengthening human capacity, and embedding mitigation and preparedness into development planning. For our monitoring and evaluation systems, this means we have defined indicators and targets to measure progress. Recovery monitoring now tracks outcomes such as the number of homes rebuilt to resilient building standards and the readiness of communities through local disaster management committees. Since the enactment of the Disaster Management Act of 2015 and the establishment of Disaster Management Authority in 2018, we have been working to institutionalize monitoring and evaluation within national recovery governance. Steps include developing a national recovery framework to standardize post-disaster assessments and indicators, aligning recovery tracking with national budgets and planning development plans, and introducing digital dashboard to provide real-time updates on recovery progress across sectors such as housing, water, and sanitation, also health. Our community-based disaster risk management program is at the heart of local level monitoring. Island councils and community disaster committees conduct participatory risk assessments, maintain local disaster plans, and report quarterly on progress through mobile data collection tools. This bottom-up data feeds into our national dashboard, ensuring recovery efforts reflects real community needs, especially for vulnerable groups such as women, youth, and those dependent on fisheries and tourism for their livelihoods. Despite progress, we face significant obstacles due to fragmented data systems across ministries, islands, and councils, limited trained human resources to manage advanced evaluation tools, and financing constraints to sustain these systems for long term. To overcome this, we are focusing on building a unified disaster data platform, strengthening human capacity through targeted training programs, and embedding monitoring and evaluation into both DRR strategy and our forthcoming National Adaptation Plan. Ensuring disaster recovery and climate adaptation efforts are closely linked. Adaptive monitoring and evaluations are not just technical processes. They are about accountability and trust. They ensure that recovery is not only fast, but fair, sustainable, and resilient. For a small island nation like the Maldives, these systems are essential for safeguarding our people and our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It seems that you have a very good mechanism already for monitoring and evaluation, because you mentioned about the standardized recovery processes, and also the indicators, and also a real-time. Even you have a real-time dashboard, no, for the data on the recovery. So it's looks like a very good practices. As we have an time, maybe we can go for another round of questions we prepared. So maybe we start from the Excellency Abel again. So maybe a follow-up question for the first question, but could you share an example where evidence or evaluations from the past recovery effort directly shaped a new law, policy, or budget priority?
Thank you very much. I think one of the immediate point I'd look at in this question is the new initiative on the resettlement plan that we have tested in the Elgon sub-region, that we evacuate people from the affected areas, and we facilitate, we budget to relocate them, which is something that I think has worked out, and it's addressing both mitigations and also the recovery, post-recovery. Because through the local government system, we now embed in the planning for a long-term recovery of those victims that have been settled in another area, that land which has been procured by government. We're also working on the disaster risk management policy, and the main focus in this document is on post-recovery plan, and also ensuring that the budgeting is done in a phased manner, because it's something that cannot be, of course we all know that in the African countries, we are still battling with a lot of competing areas of priority in governance. So some of this disaster risk management plan that we have, we cannot fund it to the dot. And that is why when we come to this forum, such forums, we should also focus on re-echoing the need for an improvement in the global humanitarian resource basket. Because when we come and talk about this, we bring out these challenges, we discuss them, we share experience. But the problem that stands, applicable across is the fact that there is a very big reduction in the global humanitarian support basket. And the question in this room is, what are we going to do about it? Because disaster response and the recovery plan is a very expensive, and it's something that takes a certain period to be implemented. And each and every country will plan, but there will be a gap. So what are we going to do in such particular platforms? What are those new ideas that we can look at as also a source of financing mechanism that can support the different countries where we come from? We're also doing, adopting the method of having a planning mechanism on the contingency fund that a certain percentage clearly focuses on projects that are being implemented on recovery process of those who have been the victims of disaster. So basically, those are the areas that we are trying to emphasize as a country. And of course, when all these other policies are worked on and implemented, we are able to achieve a better resilient system. So Uganda remains committed to building a resilient system driven by evidence, partnerships, and continuous learning. And we believe that integrating lessons learned into our policies and budget is essential for fostering the inclusive recovery. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellencies. I think you try to mainstream preparedness and also recovery in a timely manner, and also you also reiterated about the planning of this contingency funding. I think this is it's like a practice of how to use how to unlock the budget, but I think this is also part of the policies how to secure the enough budget for the recoveries. So I would like to go to Mr. Shamilkanov Urmatbek from Kyrgyzstan for the second question, the follow-up questions about what are the main obstacles to ensuring recovery data translates into stronger accountability and future preparedness.
Спасибо, хороший вопрос. Прежде всего, наше министерство заранее включает систему мониторинга и оценки процесса управления восстановлением. То есть заблаговременно мы проводим систему мониторинга по всей территории нашей республики. Это значит, что после каждого происшествия мы не только устраняем последствия, но и сразу собираем данные, анализируем, какие меры сработало, а какие нужно улучшить. Такой подход помогает нам заранее подготовиться к возможным новым рискам, быстрее реагировать и эффективно использовать соответствующие имеющие ресурсы. Разумеется, на этом пути существуют трудности. Ограниченные ресурсы не всегда позволяют внедрить современные цифровые решения и поддерживать базы данных в актуальном состоянии. То есть недостаток данных, который часть информации остается фрагментной или неструктурированной, что затрудняет ее использование для анализа. Тем не менее, мы рассматриваем эти вызовы как стимул для углубления международного сотрудничества и обмена опытом.
Thank you very much, Excellencies. I think you built on the first intervention that you had a data gap problems, and you elaborate a little bit more like it is difficult to collect the data systematically, or the data is not formatted, etc., etc. Thank you very much. I would like to go to Ms. Bazara Gancha Dugai for the second question, which is, can you share one lesson from Mongolia's use of recovery data that could help other countries?
Thank you. And during the last third period, and we worked together with National Statistical Office and also some line ministries and to collect the data here in Mongolia. And also at the time, and we worked with the United Nations Coordination Office with there, and we made together the dashboard. It's very accessible to use and to people, citizens, or some other companies. And then in this kind of dashboard is a very important for us. And every 7 days, and we just change it, collect the data, and we changed it. Then and after that, and we just made analysis in it, in their test. In these cases, and even a disaster occurs, the situation is very difficult, but please collect the data this time and for this future prevention work and future the effective recovery work. In this case, I would like to say, and even disaster occurs very difficult, but and please collect the data, raw data, and then it usually needs and to conduct for the recovery, and also this again some prevention work and next strike. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is another good example of this dashboard, to visualize how the recovery is progressing. And I think this is important not only to use it internally, but also to try to communicate with the public, how the recovery is ongoing. Then I would like to go to Mr. Hissam Hassan from Maldives for the second question, which is, can you share an example where external partnership improved quality or speed of recovery evaluations?
I would like to share a good example from the COVID-19 operation that we conducted 2 years ago. So like during the COVID-19 pandemic, partnerships proved critical in accelerating our recovery evaluations. In the Maldives, our private sector and state-owned enterprises worked closely with Disaster Management Authority to maintain essential services such as electricity, water, sanitation, and communications. This collaboration allowed us to evaluate service continuity in real time and adjust recovery priorities very quickly. Through structured dialogues with partners, we consolidated findings in weeks instead of months, ensuring policymakers had credible evidence to act upon. Also, during the operation, it showed us that when external partnerships are fully engaged, recovery evaluations become much faster, more practical, and directly linked to decision making. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think it's very encouraging, especially I'm from the UN system, which, and you mentioned about this partnership, external support, helped your country to recover better. And I think this is also what the IRP, International Recovery Platform, wants to do, to try to provide a very useful advices for the member states so that they can recover in a quick and efficient way. So thank you very much for the panelists for 2 rounds of questions. I don't know if we have time, but if you allow me, maybe we can ask the floors. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate before summarizing our discussions.
Good afternoon. My name is Thabo Kupari from South Africa. I think the question that I would pose, any of the panelists can maybe respond to it. Take into account that these disasters, we're not going to prevent them, but at least we can mitigate and make sure that we adapt. In your countries, what are the measures that you are bringing into ensuring that you become resilient to these disasters? Are you, for any project or any recovery program, are you bringing in resilience in any of the projects to ensure that the disasters that affected you in the previous year, you become resilient in the following year? Floods, your snow. How do you cope with the disasters that are happening in your countries? Thanks.
Okay, let me just volunteer to maybe respond to what my good friend has asked. To us in Uganda, in the past we were relying basically on the local way of predictions. But today, we have quite a lot of technological interventions that are at play. So what we are doing is to ensure that we invest into early warning systems, to procure machines that can be established in areas which have been mapped out. Of course, we have what we call the Atlas. The Atlas has got areas which has been mapped out that are disaster prone because the communities know. Like within maybe South Africa, these areas are the ones which are affected. So we are going into establishing and setting up scientific, machines that can support the early warning systems. And also, secondly, we are trying our best to make sure that the disaster risk reduction plan is functional, because this creates easy intervention in case of a disaster. We already have what we call the District Disaster Committee, which is established at the local government level. So if such a disaster happens, we get first-hand information from the machines, from the technology, but also from the team, the disaster team, that are already there, because they are the first people to run. The CDF, under the UPDF, the Uganda People Defense Forces of Uganda, has also rolled down a training among the soldiers to ensure that if anything happens, we have the rapid response that can also support rescuing people who are affected. But one thing that still stands challenging is the limited budgeting, which I think cuts across. As I said earlier, competing priorities in the developing countries. You're not able to fund everything to the dot. And that is where we bring on board an interministerial team where we sit and plan according to the areas that we feel needs to be tackled first. Then we also collaborate with the non-government organizations like the FAO, like UNHCR, and other agencies. Then we distribute the areas that we feel are very pertinent. For example, in an area like those that are affected with flooding, we are looking at establishment of gabions to prevent the effects of the flooding. So who is going to do this? When you're planning for your financial year expenditure, focus on this, because we don't want duplication of work that cuts across. So I think that is how we are doing it. But in case something happens which is beyond the budget that we had planned for, then that's when we run to the 10% from the contingency fund, which is allocated within the budget. Thank you.
Any volunteer? Maybe, maybe no. So, do you have any other questions from the floors, or if not, I can try to summarize the discussions. But no, but I hope I see it very well. Yeah. Okay. So I don't see any hands from the floor. So I try to summarize. No, I try to summarize the discussions, because I think I tried to make 4 questions to the panelists. One is policy or institutionalizations, and also international knowledge exchange, and also accountability or evaluation, and also data. I think we have a good practice. We already have a good trial from the 4 panelists. For example, try to streamline the recovery with the preparedness, and also try to link to the budget allocation for the activities, which are these are institutionalizations. And then data, I think we have different stories from collecting data for science-based preparation for the recovery. But at the same time, we heard some challenges of the data collection, data analysis, and so on. And also monitoring, by coincidence, we have two data dashboard to try to monitor the progress of the recovery. I think this is very interesting because I didn't know that it exists already. But this is, I think, beauty of this international conference, to try to share the different good practices from different countries. And yes, and I think, I hope, we hope that this platform will be a forum so that good practices or lessons could be shared, so that we can learn each other, and we can learn each other for the better recovery preparedness. And then, because maybe this is not the scope of these sessions, but I think you mentioned about this data on the ground, because I think we can use, because especially for this recovery or response, we need the data very quickly, and you mentioned about this early warning system or innovative solutions, because now Internet of Things can collect data automatically, and even though this is not the scope of these sessions, maybe we can eventually discuss how innovation or AI, Internet of Things, could help these processes, because data challenges could be covered by this automatic data collection and analysis. So thank you very much, the panelists, for the very interesting practices from different contexts, countries. And I would like to ask all of you to make applause to the panelists. I think the session continues tomorrow, but we successfully did 3 sessions today. So back to you.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Yasukawa, and to all of our distinguished panelists. I think we all know that monitoring, evaluation, and learning are absolutely critical to what we're trying to do, but it's also a common set of problems that we are all dealing with. So it was really great to hear about all the experiences of the panelists, as well as a lot of the solutions that they've brought forward. So I'd like to bring today to a close. This was our last session for today. I'd like to share a few notes about later today and also for tomorrow. So tomorrow, so today we met in this room for all the plenaries. Tomorrow, we will dive deeper into 4 critical areas in roundtable sessions. As you can see on the screen, there are blue highlighted rooms. The roundtables will be in those rooms. The Waraku room will have simultaneous interpretation, Japanese-English, and the Ikuta room will not. It's a big hotel, but these are all on the same floor as the training rooms that you use today and the plenary room that you use today as well. The roundtables start at 9 in the morning tomorrow. We'd really like to ask you if you could please arrive, let's say 10 minutes early to secure your seat at the roundtable. You will find when you registered for this conference that you had already pre-selected into the roundtables. You'll notice they're indicated on your badge in the colored stickers. And we will also be holding so we'll have a coffee break that will go between the 2 roundtables. The coffee breaks would be held in the roundtable room. So either if you're in the same room in the next round table, you don't have to move, or you can go and have your coffee break in your next. Okay, thank you for that. There is a mistake on that schedule there, so it should be 11 to 12:30. So they're all 90-minute roundtables. So yes, so coffee breaks will be in the roundtable rooms. Also, there will be boxed lunch if you have requested it in the Waraku room. You can pick that up after the second set of roundtables are done. So for those of us who are joining online tomorrow, the broadcast will begin after the lunch break. So we're not broadcasting in the roundtable rooms. And the plenary session, so after the lunch break, we all come back to this room for the rest of the agenda tomorrow. So tonight, before we conclude, I'd like to remind the invited participants here that there will be a reception this evening. So it is now nearly 5:15. The reception will start at 6 o'clock. As I mentioned, it is a big hotel. The reception is not in this wing of the hotel. It's in the south wing of the hotel. If you exit the room and you go up the stairs, you will see the direction to go into the south wing. It's in a room called Topaz, like the gemstone, Topaz. That's from 6 to 8 o'clock. And if you run into any trouble, we do still have our staff here that will help direct you to the room. So without further ado, on behalf of the International Recovery Platform and all of our organizing partners, I want to thank each and every one of you for your active participation today. I hope you all get some good rest tonight as well for tomorrow's discussions. Your contributions, I think, have really set a strong foundation for the focused roundtable discussions tomorrow, and we're really looking forward to those. Before you leave, if you have used one of the translation interpretation headsets, please return those to the registration desk. And then before the roundtables tomorrow, if you want them, you can also pick those up again at the registration desk. And that's all for today. So thank you all so much, and good evening to the online participants from Kobe. Thank you.